Hey, what is up, mortals? This is TheLuckyDerp here, and welcome to the 5th part of What If Orochimaru Never Attacked the Leaf Village. Just wanted to greet you guys by saying sit back and relax. You're in for a treat. And so we begin. Neji, for the first time, couldn't believe his eyes. Chakra was pouring out of Rock Lee enough to where it would be visible even without his Byakugan. Lee's skin turned red, and his face turned to a grimace, as if he was under a lot of pain. It seemed impossible that this was the same kid that he sparred with and beat on a weekly basis. For the first time in the tournament, Neji felt as if he could legitimately lose. Rumors had spread around about the one genin that had no ninjutsu skill whatsoever, and they all scoffed at the thought of that one having to stand against foes like Neji, Sasuke, and Gaara. The Leaf genin in the stands have never seen Lee take off his weights, much less use the 8 gates. Kakashi looked at his rival. "Isn't that a bit much, guy?" "Nonsense. If anyone can handle the physical toll, it's Lee. If anyone would hurt themselves trying to win, it's Lee," Kakashi corrected. He knew that the 8 gates came with an immense risk to the user's body. Due to the strain it would put on the muscles and bones, it was possible for the users to cause permanent damage to their body, or even die, from overusing this technique. As Lee disappeared, Kakashi quickly lifted his headband to observe with his Sharingan. It was incredibly hard to keep up with him with the naked eye. This was clear by the crowd's reaction of confused murmurs and quizzically looking around the arena. Neji knew that he couldn't react to the strike that would inevitably come, so he did his best to time his rotation and deflect the attack. He was prepared to put all of his remaining chakra into this last resort. The rotation began, this time louder and stronger in appearance. The chakra waves were moving faster and with more force than before. Then, in the blink of an eye, Lee launched himself off the top of the arena wall, feet first, putting his previous attack to shame. The wind from this attack was felt by the audience in the stands as Lee clashed into rotation with a mighty stomp. The rotation bent like a bubble being pressed on from the top, but it held strong. The ground beneath Neji crunched as the force drove him into the ground, and then, a millisecond later, the rotation burst was an explosion of light, wind, and debris. Dust covered the two of them, and it was impossible for the audience to make out exactly what they've witnessed. Some of them leaned over the railing in anticipation. Some covered their mouths, and still others looked away, afraid to see either of these boys maimed. After a few seconds, the spectacle became clear. Both boys were lying on the ground and looked to be unconscious. That is, before Lee slowly pulled himself up to a crawling position. The crowd erupted. Many of the genin cheered and hugged each other. From the waiting room, Naruto leapt with excitement. As Lee made it to his feet, it became clear that all of his weight was in one leg. The other leg was injured fairly bad. "The winner of this match is Rock Lee," the proctor announced, smiling. Medics rushed out to help Neji, and one swung Lee's arm around his shoulder to help him limp out of the arena. Guy Sensei and Tenten immediately left the stands to check up on their teammates. One medic approached the proctor and whispered in his ear before they both exited the arena. After a few minutes, the crowd began to murmur in boredom. They wanted to see the last Uchiha fight, and after the last showing, they wanted to see him fight Lee. Sakura turned to Kakashi as they waited. "If anyone can use the 8 gates, why do people learn chakra control? After all, that looked like the strongest taijutsu attack I've ever seen." Kakashi shook his head. "Don't even think about it. That technique is one of the most dangerous in the shinobi world. Lee only opened the first few gates and he may have broken his leg with one attack. Once you learn that technique, it is tempting to use in any situation, especially when people's lives are in danger. It is best if that technique is left to extremely disciplined shinobi." The proctor walked to the battlefield shaking his head. "Everyone, I regret to inform you all that Rock Lee has won this match, but he is out of the tournament due to an injury that makes it impossible for him to continue." Some members of the crowd threw their hands up and booed. "This is not anyone's desired outcome, but because the next two are technically the last two getting in the tournament, the next match will instead be our grand finals. Naruto Uzumaki versus Sasuke Uchiha." The Hokage leaned back in his chair, overwhelmed. Both of these genin represented what he saw as the two greatest failures of the Leaf during his lifetime. Naruto was born during the Nine Tails attack, where the village was attacked, ultimately claiming the life of the 4th Hokage and his wife. Sasuke's clan needed to be erased because of their ongoing coup, leaving only this boy behind. Was not able to find an alternative that would have saved many innocent Uchiha. Still, the feats of both of these boys today showed him that they were preserving despite their past, or even because of it. Going into this day, they would be one of the most memorable of these boys' lives. Everyone expected the world of Sasuke, and he wanted to prove them right. Everyone expected nothing from Naruto, and he wanted to prove everyone wrong, and be respected. It was time to see which of these motivations were stronger. Naruto and Sasuke stared at each other on the battlefield, waiting for the signal to begin by the proctor. As much as they both tried to act tough, they were both excited to prove themselves, and they both let out a smirk. Let the final match of the tournament begin. Naruto ran straight at Sasuke without making any clones or distractions. He saw Sasuke's eyes open and show that he already activated his Sharingan. As Sasuke ran forward to meet Naruto in the middle, Naruto blocked a kick aimed at his temple, and then caught Sasuke's overhanded punch with both hands, only to have Sasuke's other hand uppercut him hard. He tried to answer with a few strikes of his own, but Sasuke saw everything coming too quickly. Jumping high in the air, he changed his strategy to a war of attrition by creating 10 shadow clones in the air with him, and hurled 2 of them in Sasuke's direction. One grabbed Sasuke's arm to restrain him, but as the other tried to grasp his other arm, Sasuke dropped onto his back and twisted his body, flipping the first clone onto the second, causing them both to disappear. As the other clones landed, they tried to surround him, but Sasuke jumped in the air quickly and shot fire at the ground beneath him, causing the fire to flood outwards in the circle and envelop the clones as well as the real Naruto. Naruto tried to run away from the attack, but it was too late. The fire burned his clothes and a bit of his arm, as well as pushed him away, causing him to tumble onto the ground. Quickly scanning the area, Naruto realized that the tree lines were not far behind himself, so he made a few more shadow clones to fight Sasuke as a distraction, so that he could give himself some time. The clones fought defensively, causing Sasuke to realize that they were only a distraction, but he still needed to get rid of them before trying to attack Naruto. Naruto panted behind a tree as one by one the clones' memories entered his head. Sasuke was too fast, and he hasn't even tried to use Chidori yet. Naruto couldn't summon Gamabunta again, as Sasuke now knows that he doesn't listen to Naruto, so he wouldn't be in danger. Plus, it would be a huge use of chakra. There was the other jutsu that Naruto wanted to practice with Jiraiya, but he only had a few days of practice, and he never successfully pulled it off. Still, he did learn somewhat how to call upon the other chakra inside of him. For that to work, he needed to spend a substantial amount of his own chakra though. As Sasuke finished dealing with the distraction clones, he made a beeline dash for the trees, only to see around 30 clones jump out of the top of the trees and about the same amount running at him on foot. Sasuke assumed that the real Naruto was among them, and Naruto ran away earlier to gather some chakra to summon all of them. As they ran, they all spread out as much as they could to mitigate the damage if Sasuke started to use fire style. Still, Sasuke thought it would be easier to use chakra to form fireballs than to risk injuring fighting all of them at once. He shot them at key places, hoping to catch clusters of them when he landed. He managed to hit nearly half of them. The rest he could handle with taijutsu. Kunai attached the string sailed through the air, before wrapping around several clones at a time, restraining them so that Sasuke could deliver the finishing blow. He ran through them with no difficulty, but after a while he began to realize how exhausted he was. After all, he fought Gaara today, and in this fight alone he used fire style far too often. After kicking the last clone, he realized that none of them were the real Naruto and began walking to the tree line. He barely made it a few steps before Naruto exited the tree line. His burning wounds were healed, and he looked to be in top shape, despite his huge summoning earlier and creating as many clones as he did. It was then that he realized that Naruto's eyes had changed to be red with a pupil like that of a cat. Sasuke knew that this could happen after the mission with the Land of Waves, but the Naruto in front of him looked to be completely in control of himself, unlike on the bridge. Sasuke knew what he had to do. He used the last of his chakra to form a Chidori. Those in the stands knew how potent his attack had been after it pierced Gaara's hand, so they had no idea how badly Naruto would be hurt if he hit directly with it. Just then, Naruto placed his hands together, as if he was holding an invisible ball, and began to collect chakra in the palm of his hand, in a spinning motion. The Hokage stood up in his chair. Could it be that he could use his father's jutsu at such a young age? Sasuke didn't slow down. He didn't know what this was, but it didn't matter. If he hit Naruto before he could do anything, Naruto began running toward him and raised the ball of chakra to meet Sasuke's hand. But just then, Naruto's Rasengan vanished. Sasuke realized by the surprise in Naruto's eyes that he had no defense to this attack, and the Chidori was aimed at Naruto's heart. Sasuke, without a second to think, changed the trajectory away from Naruto, slashing him with the lightning across the chest. Naruto touched his chest and looked at his hand to see that it had been covered in blood before falling to his knees, and then sideways onto his back. the proctor jumped in to stop the fight as the medics ran frantically to Naruto's aid. The winner of this year's Chunin exam tournament is Sasuke Uchiha. The official announcement of the getting promoted will happen today after some deliberation. The crowd roared, including Sakura and Ino, and the Hokage applauded. Still, Sasuke couldn't help but focus on Naruto as they carried him away on a stretcher. Thank you all for indulging yourselves in the story thus far. I hope you enjoyed it. Now there are a few more things I'd like to go over before the video ends. Firstly, we've got a primary channel called We the Celestials. We the Celestials is what we do here already, but their content's centered around the crazy world and lore of My Hero Academia. So please check us out over there, if you're feeling in the mood for a roller coaster of quirky content. We also have another relative to our channel, Anime Deep Dive. Anime Deep Dive goes deep into the facts and lore of a wide variety of anime. It's sure to expand your weeb knowledge for all kinds of series, guaranteed. I'd like to let you all know that on behalf of We the Celestials, I'd like to thank everyone involved in the production of today's awesome content. Their details will be in the description below. If you're perhaps interested in what we do here at WTC, then I would like to extend an invitation to join the team. The only caveat being we only accept members 16 or older to join our crew. You can find us on our Discord, which you can locate in the description below. Our Discord is an all-around fantastic place to be. Whether you're a fan or looking to join our band of misfits, all you gotta do is hit up the recruitment server and sign up for whichever category of work that fulfills your interests. We're always looking for members to join us. Well, that's it from us for today's video, so thank you all for watching and have a great day.